Welcome back to Toys on Tap. This week is another good week. This is episode 2 of 3 with MVH, Mutant Vinyl Hardcore. He comes on, talks about all kinds of cool stuff in his history and really building out the brand and the toy landscape for Mutant Vinyl Hardcore. If you want more Toys on Tap, you can follow us on all socials at Toys on Tap. If you want to support the show in a free way, you can like, subscribe, rate, review wherever you get podcasts. It means the world to us, and it costs you $0. So please rate, review. More people can hear it. If you want to support the show even more, patreon.com/toysontap. We're going to start putting these up earlier as we get more people coming on for the podcast. You can now see these videos and these interviews on YouTube, which we're really excited for, and they seem to be doing well. So I'm pumped that this is now on YouTube, full interviews, fully edited, and all those kinds of things. So let's get to this week's episode of Toys on Tap. I'm pumped. This is episode 2. Thanks for working with me on time and all that stuff.
No, dude, this is thank you. I mean, I'm a little tired. I've been doing some so I got back from Japan, been doing some this cleanup work around the house, spring cleaning, as of the season breaks. So maybe I did, I don't know, 10 runs to the dump, dumping. So this whole week has just been a lot of cleanup, and it's been a long day. So,
dude, I can't imagine. Yeah. I can't imagine going through, you spend a month and fully acclimate to a new place, a new climate, a new everything.
Yep.
And then come back and still have to do life.
Oh yeah, not just I come back and it's like, all right, you've been gone for a month, so we got a lot to get caught up on immediately, So it's a learning curve, that's for sure. I mean, it's doable, but it's just all right, now I know for next time what to get accomplished before I leave. This way, I don't want, right now I'm coming back cleaning up, so hopefully next time I go, I know all right, before I leave, make sure you have all these things lined up and done. I mean, you can have all the bills paid, but it's still not gonna, handle other things here in the Northeast, we got so much snow this winter time that, making sure that I had somebody on call while I'm not around to do it myself was something I didn't even think about until I was getting ready to leave. I'm like, oh no, I ain't gonna be here. And then of course we had 3 snowstorms. So, I mean, it is what it is, but it's just a learning thing. I mean, but it is tiring.
Yeah.
But rewarding, you know how it goes.
Because you will go back. We know this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. When I go back next time, I want to take my entire family. That's the goal is to,
okay.
I want to try to do, every year, stay in Japan for 3 times a year, 1 month each. So probably 3 months.
Going to Japan 3 times a year for a month each is going to be insanely cool, because I know that the eventual goal, at least from what you've been posting about, is that you want to go there and stay there.
Yeah. I would like to at some point buy a house out there, and just when the kids get older, my youngest is going to be 8, so over the course of the next 10 years, have a spot where I can go there for long periods, and then have my kids able to come when they want, come and go as they want. I mean, for Americans, we could stay out there for 3 months in a row without having to worry about any kind of visa or any issues like that. So it's definitely well in the possibility of doing.
That's cool. I love that so much. Hey, this is episode 2 of 3 for MVH, and I'm pumped. Usually people get scared off when I propose multi-episode things, but for some reason you said yeah. So, and this is really the growth and making of the MVH brand, which I'm really excited for. And so, even though we heard it last episode, got to reintroduce yourself, tell us who you are and what you do.
Name is Rich Montaneri. I am the owner of Mutant Vinyl Hardcore, Toyco. You see it, I'm the one that's behind it.
Heck yeah. So we, as we did last episode, we kind of left off right as you're beginning your toy making career, and you are doing this Sludge Demon,
Mm,
and the way that you kind of explain it is like you're working with forms rather than like
mm,
anatomically correct things. So like this bump
mhm,
can be the essence
mm,
of an arm, or this could
right.
be a leg, and it
Mm,
shows in the work.
mhm,
And so we're gonna start, I think, right back there. So you
sure.
just get this influx of Sludge Demon shipped to your house.
Mm.
What was next for you?
Just trying to figure out how to utilize it to its maximum capacity. You know what I mean? So like, how do I, you know, how do I get the most out of this so I can? Because who knows when the next order is going to come in. So how do I, again, like I think I said before about not, I was painting runs to match the size of people that ordered them, right? Instead of just painting like
Mhm.
50 and then hoping and praying that they all sell. So that was like that was the first way of like, all right, this is the way to try to make this last. That was really it. Just trying to get, now that I have stuff in hand, how do I get from order to order? You know, how do I make each batch last long enough that I don't have to worry about running out and then having nothing at hand. And it worked out pretty well. Like it definitely worked out pretty well doing that.
I mean, the hard part is like you're just dipping your toe in, and we talked earlier about the reality of having to buy hundreds. Is it
Mm.
overwhelming as your first toy to get a couple hundred different colorways, especially in these early years where you're trying to figure out like how do I even sell these to people?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, it sounds like it's a lot, but it's not. I mean, uh, again, it was like it was only like you had glow black, flesh, clear, and you could just
Hmm.
it really wasn't even expensive then either. I mean, I think I was paying maybe $10 a blank. I mean, that price has exploded astronomically since then, and that's just the way of the world. But no, man, like the cost per piece wasn't really that bad. So you're looking at a couple grand, and it's just like it sounds more than what it was, and it's just like having that was is good and all. So no, it really wasn't. It wasn't overwhelming. It wasn't like what am I gonna do all these things. It was just like just knowing that I had stock was comforting, and it gave me like the sigh of relief. Like all right, I have a baseline now.
Yeah, man, $10 a blank is so cheap. I I'm looking around, and the toys that we've made haven't even come close to that. It wasn't. We
No.
made the little claw, and I think that
Mm.
that was still like $9.
Oh yeah. I mean, like it. Yeah. I mean, this is in like in Japanese vinyl too, which is by far the most expensive vinyl you can buy. I mean,
Yeah,
this. I mean, it's up there, and nowadays, no, it's far more than that. And especially like when you start going to like
yeah.
larger size toys and stuff, man, it's like the margin gets shorter and shorter. And like this can bring up an interesting topic too about like there is like a ceiling on what collectors are willing to spend on things, which kind of makes the artist have to make some choices on like how do I want to approach this? Do I want to approach this as art, or do I want to approach this as toys? And like if you're approaching it as toys, where it's just like they're not anything more special than toys, and then you don't want to put all this super extra effort into treating it as art because the the payoff isn't there, right? You've spent so many hours making something, and like you would be getting paid almost nothing per hour per piece. So it just there that does present like that line in the sand where you got to make a choice here. What are you doing with this? Otherwise, you can easily you know it would cost more to make them than you actually did to sell them, and that starts going into the negative, and you don't want to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I mean, let's open this price can of
Mm,
worms. That is the
sure.
number one thing I
Yeah.
deal with any artist that asks about making toys. And
Yeah.
I mean, you have the people that have been in the toy
mm,
community or making toys the longest, of
mm,
course, they have higher prices. Like that, you're paying for years of skill and
mm,
notoriety and name
mm,
and
mhm,
like cool factor.
mm,
Like you see these toys that Groman makes, and they're like
mm,
$1,500 a piece.
mm, mhm,
I've seen some pretty hefty soft vinyl
yeah,
price tags out. And so there is a ceiling. So I mean, this
yeah,
starting out though, you're not approaching that. So now,
no,
like, how are you
yeah,
navigating that? Because you still have to care for your
yeah.
family and stuff.
Well, that's the thing, man. I mean, when you are doing this as a hobby, then you can kind of, it's not something you need to focus on, right? As long as you make enough
Hmm.
money to break even, then it's good. But once you cross over that line into being a full-time artist doing this, then you have to really start paying attention to everything because now you have the government looking for their tax money. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
you have to look into everything becomes a thing now. It's not so it's no longer a hobby, it's a job. And you have to approach it as a business. Like this is a business. Like there is the art aspect of it, and then there's the business aspect of it. And you have to learn to be an adult and separate these two things and acknowledge that this is reality here. And we all, in a perfect world, we wouldn't have to worry about these things, but this is reality. And this once it becomes your job, you should treat it as such. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there's multiple ways of approaching this. Some artists and collectors are diehard where this is there's a finite number that you should never cross, and to them
Hmm.
that's that, and they will work within that, and that's great. And then there's other philosophies or trains of thought where there are people are like, no, this is art, and it can have no ceiling to it. Like with me, I try to approach it from all these angles. So I mean, there's the one off aspect where I'm trying to push that into the fine arts. There's the production stuff where it's 100% made through a factory, or I have nothing involved besides being the director of it. I'm like, saying, hey, this color here, there, and directing it. And then, which would, significantly lower the cost because we're going to be doing a larger size run. And again, it's not hand painted, it's factory painted. Then there's in the
Hmm.
middle where you have, I can do micro runs, which again would be, you know, technically a painted run, but they're smaller batch hand painted by me. There's blanks. This again, this topic is so dense, and I've had it with so many toy makers, and it really just comes down to what they want to do, and then you have to kind of pick what you're looking to do, and then just straight up ignore all the noise that comes with it. There will always be somebody
Yeah.
out there telling you you're wrong, right? Like this
Hmm.
is not how it's supposed to be. Like that's and the people that have that opinion where they have to make everybody around them have the same opinion as them is ridiculous. So you have to treat how you want to do something and then just ignore either other makers, fans, whatever you want to be, and just focus on the people that do understand it and do get what you're trying to accomplish and then go from there. That's just this is how it is. And the way I looked at it too is that, you know, with every job you have, if you're working for somebody else, you're going to be eventually looking for some kind of, position changes or raises, however you want to approach it. When you're working for yourself, you have to be the one that gives you your own raise and your position change. Like there's nobody doing it for you. You're doing it yourself. So I think as
Yeah.
long as you give people the quality that the price demands are asking, then everything is okay. If you're asking for a price that's not worth it, then that's when you have a problem, right? So just studying your work, studying the work around you, you got to pay attention to everything, and then you'll kind of have a good understanding of what should cost what, and what is fair to people. I mean, there's a fine line, but there is a line, and as long as your fans are happy and you can make a living doing this, and then you're okay. And you would just straight up have to ignore anybody that complains on either the production side or the fan side. And then you just have to learn how to live with that.
Yeah, I think the two things that I always come back to is like, of course, you got to look around, you got to figure out what things are priced like, do
Mm,
whatever research you got to do.
hmm
But Also, like, you shouldn't be taking advice from
Mm,
people that haven't done what you're doing,
mhm,
or they haven't, like, put in the work, or they're not currently
mm,
doing the exact same project. Because
that too.
in toys, every project is different.
Mhm,
Every single thing is different.
mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, like, even like, say me personally, right? I have the same, let's say, vinyl factory. Let's say Maruyama in Japan. I have the same middleman, the same factory, same everything. But every toy has to be like assessed, right? Uh,
Mhm.
how much does this one particular piece cost to make? What am I trying to accomplish with it? Like, you have to go down the laundry list of all these questions that what you're looking to do with this one particular thing. It could be the same factory, the same vinyl, same everything, but you're one thing you might just be approaching it as, I just want to use this as one-offs or micro runs. And this other thing, I'm gonna try to sell, blanks and have spray masks made and I can make more of it. So like it could be the same production house, same thing, everything, but you have to approach it completely differently. So like every single project has to be addressed piece by piece.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. So, I mean, you have the Sludge Demon,
Mm,
this is here, you're doing
mm,
runs, micro runs, all the
mm,
things that you do,
mm,
that we now know you for.
mm,
But this kind of starts something in you, because
mm,
we see the progression in which you are producing character after character. So kind of line me up, set this up for what it does for your next thing, because this isn't full time
mm.
at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Like because there is a standard size, especially for Japanese toys, and that's usually like the eight
Hmm.
to 9 inch range. That's what is considered standard size. When you go back to like vintage toys, that's standard size. So when you're designing a toy, you're trying to make something that's original, but you also want to have a shelf of other makers' toys. Like you want to fit in too. You don't want to have this thing where it's just this you know eyesore that's kind of sticks out. So you got to try to design within parameters. So
Hmm.
as yes, I made a toy that was very simple design. It can kind of fit in with anywhere. Then it's like, all right, so the next step is let's try to make something that's a little more complex that gets a little bit bigger, right? What happened with me was I kind of it wasn't by plan, but it was again another one of those happy accidents where this is I was hired. I hired somebody out here, like a tattoo artist. Again, I talked about trying to help me sculpt something, in which that failed. I had Ricky Velocitron. He was also starting a toy for me because he was a sculptor too. So I had him start on something, and as the guy here failed, he kind of took over. And then when he kind of failed or got caught up, I had him send what he started to me. And after I had like the confidence from the Sludge Demon, I transitioned that confidence and saying, all right, I took what Ricky was started and I can just, I can take it from there. So that's when like he started like the legs and the body was what he kind of started. I took it here and it was just this massive toy. It was way larger than what I asked for. And it was like I didn't want to I didn't have the confidence then yet to start from scratch. So I was like, I'm just gonna have to take what he gave me, which was legs and a torso, and then I'm gonna have to just ride with that. So within that scale, it ended up being like 13 and a half inches tall, which was this giant. Right. I was like, all right, well, I went from being this small toy to
Yeah.
this fucking giant. But I still was like, all right, let me try to keep it in simple, the most simple term I can get it. So I kept again just the legs, the torso, left arm, right arm, head. All right. So it's still pretty simple in design aspect. So even though it was tall, it was still very, very, it didn't have moving legs. This way I didn't have to worry about the mechanics of that. Just fixed legs, static torso, then the arms and the head. So size wise wasn't what I wanted, but everything else kind of worked. I adjusted everything I needed to adjust and I added on to it. And then that's how I ended up making the Ali toy. So that's how I got there. But the thing was like I have like this little guy and this giant fucking toy. I still haven't hit that sweet standard size spot. And I kind of honestly never really did. Even to this day. Like I tried, but like to this day, like I'm constantly like juggling, like there. I just can't dial it in. So I kind of gave up on that. I mean, so I kind of got to the point where it's like
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have to make my own things and make the collection of my own, and then have whatever else they collect. Then they're gonna have to figure that out. I mean, like I'll get close, like I'm gonna get close
Absolutely.
to standard size, but like it's gonna be, you're gonna have to, some of my collectors gonna have to really like, they're gonna have to focus on my own collection of the MVH brand that will make its own collection, and then we'll fit it all in. So yeah, even though I'm giving you advice like,
Yeah.
yeah, stick to standard size, I kind of just fucking totally didn't take my own advice and did everything on my own. Yeah.
I mean, that's what makes it so that you can give the advice, because you've
Mm.
done the outside of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can we pause for a second?
Sure.
And this is the second time that Velocitron has come up. Is this
Mm.
someone that still exists? Because I've
Mm.
told you before that I've heard
Yeah. Yeah.
about him through other people. Does this person still exist in the toy scene?
No, not at all. Uh,
Okay, okay,
yeah, no,
okay.
no, not at all. Like, I mean, again, I'm still going back to like 2010 to 15.
Okay.
He was the only one. Like his apprentice, uh, Science Patrol, Corey, was then the person that ended up taking over for him. So, but Ricky
Mm,
Velocitron, yeah, like as he started taking on American clients, he took on some, too much work, right? And I don't know all the details, but I do know that it got way out of control. There was a lot of money lost, and then he eventually ended up just not disappearing, but like he was managing some kind of like Japanese baby girl punk metal band. I don't honestly, I don't I know minimal about it. I don't know what happened to him. I haven't spoken to him in probably 8 years, if not more. I mean, so like who really, like, you'll come to learn that it happens a lot out there. I mean, like you'll have people that will come and go.
mhm.
So I formed some good relationships.
Yeah,
Again, like, with everybody that's come into my life, especially if you've been, very, I don't want to say helpful, but you've been like a big part of my life. I mean, I always will feel some kind of gratitude toward you, and I'm not gonna bad talk you. So again, I know
right.
he's had his problems with other people, but he definitely gave me my career, so I will always feel some kind of debt to him for that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's helpful just to, because he almost sounds like an elusive ghost, because
Very
people,
much.
they talk about him as this intermediary, but then all
Yeah.
of a sudden, after a certain period, he's gone. So that's good
Gone.
to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the toys that you're making, you all of a
Mm.
sudden spike 13 something inches,
Mm.
which it does a couple things. One, it stands out. It doesn't
Mm.
accomplish the size thing that you'd like to do with the
Mm.
Japanese standard, and then it also
Mhm.
takes up different shelf space than what
Mm.
your Sludge would have taken up. Here we go. This is what I know you are waiting to hear: project updates on the things that we've got going on with Toys on Tap. Firstly, we got 2 new claw colorways that we are so excited for. We're doing an amazing like blue gray look one, and so we're really excited about that. And then we're bringing the OG colorway with the green and the yellow nails. We thought that those two would be really cool. When they come in, 25 will go online, and the other 50 of each will just go at the shows, and that's where you will have to get them. We still have some of the other ones. I think they're sold out online, but if you missed your chance, you will see them at conventions. So we're really excited. Queso Jones ships this week. I'm really excited to have that. We've been waiting a long time. It's been a long process, but we are so excited. The packaging is here. We are just waiting for the toy, and then my wife and I will be cracking into shipping, and you will get those. The last KMB is in the middle of production. They are starting to pull the vinyl, which we're really excited about. Stay tuned on that. We will have more updates coming. And our next Kickstarter that will launch with our friends over at Depressed Monsters, Mr. Ryan. We are so pumped to bring the first ever Yerman soft vinyl toy to life. We cannot believe that we get to partner with an artist that we absolutely look up to. So if you want to stay up on any of those things, what we're doing, that's what's going on with Toys on Tap. You can follow. We have a newsletter and there's updates on the Instagram and all kinds of good stuff. So thank you for all the support.
Well, yeah, well, the thing is, like, I kind of looked at it all as a footprint on the shelf. Like, you have, like, we'll say, like, Godzilla has a tail, and that's going to take up a lot of shelf space, right? Like, it has the footprint
Mm-hmm.
is massive. So it wasn't really like height wise, and like I was at least at that time the IKEA Detolf was like the last case that everybody had for displays. It was cheap, everybody got it. So as long as it fit within that shelf, I was like, all right, this can still
Yeah.
work. It fit within the shelf. I'm like, and the footprint was, it wasn't very dense on the shelf. So you can have them side by side and it could possibly go on the back of the shelf and you could have your other works in front of it and, stacked downwards. And at least it could take up the back row if you just
Mm-hmm.
wanted to have it with your other works. But it did the foot space, the footprint didn't take up this massive shelf space. It's just taller, but it didn't take up a lot of density in a shelf. So that was the advantage to that, which worked out.
Yeah. That's, we're playing with that now. We have one that's about to ship to us and it's 8
Mm,
inches tall. We've
mm,
kind of tried to stay within that 8 inch. And so it's good to know that that's the standard.
yeah.
Um, and one we did was real fat. And
Mm,
so the legs may not have taken up a bunch of spots, but the body like bowed out. And then
see.
this one, it's just like a stick. So we're
Hmm.
we're killing it.
Well, I mean, the only way to do it is to do it
Yeah.
and then say, all right, well, this works and what this doesn't work. I mean, like, there's always going to be like
Yeah.
these perfect examples out there and you try to strive to mimic them because like if they nailed it and then you don't have to reinvent the fucking wheel every time. You can just be like, hey, this guy's nailed it. There's a reason why this thing is so successful. Study it and see what you can get out of it to transition to your own works. You know what I mean? You don't have to be like this
Yeah.
tough ass where it's like, I can't do that because somebody else. Well, yeah, well, there's if it's successful, then like there's a reason for that. You don't have to not everything has to be reinvented. You could just say, all right, this actually works. What can I do to contribute? I don't have to always be reinventing the wheel every time. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay, so you start this whole process over then. Again, you got to
Mm,
send this sculpt off. It gets
mhm,
there and then wait however long in this hit or miss market where it's like it
yeah.
could be 2 months, could be 2 years, we'll see what
Hmm.
happens. You get it back, you have two toys.
Mm,
You have now like it's almost like Mutant Vinyl Hardcore has entered the
yeah,
chat after
I'd say
two
so.
toys now.
Hmm. I mean, but
And
still, but I don't want to cut you off, but like still at that point, man, like Sofubi like in America it's just now like and even now it's catching on, but it's not like this
mhm,
big thing. Like, so like even
mm-mm,
from I'm starting to get some traction with fans and my fans that know me from like the message boards, but I would still do conventions and I wouldn't sell out. I mean, like I would it would
yeah.
so it's there, but it's not like this massive success and hit off the bat.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of those early conventions because I know that
Sure.
a couple of the shows that I've been at and a couple of the things, like I've seen pieces or you've hosted lotteries,
Mm,
but you're not there because I mean, you're busy. You got a whole life and family and all that stuff.
mm,
So early on, you're going to
mm.
these things, you're at them.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, New York Comic Con was. I mean, I've never been to San Diego Comic Con, but I did New York. Again, it's only about an hour and a half from here. We always go to the Javits Center, so it was easy to do. So I would do the New York Comic Con, and then eventually Designer Con. Was in I'm gonna say Pasadena was the original ones, but it was like those.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
so it was mostly just New York Comic Con, and then eventually going out to Decon. But yeah, I mean, so like those were like the first conventions I did, and I kind of was consistent with them. That was literally the only places. And then I had a couple shows with Super Seven, like I mentioned before, about one in San Francisco and one in Florida. But for the most part, it was just conventions. Mostly just New York Comic Con, and then decon, then doing lotteries online in between. Like nowadays, yeah, like there's so many more conventions and that I'm working with, say Unbox. I don't have to, I can't, not that I don't have to, but I can't physically be at everything. So yeah, I'm definitely now
Mhm.
getting to a point where there's times where I don't have to even be there. I can just have somebody that's representing me handle it, so I can do more.
Yeah. I think it's so important for new, especially new creators to hear this.
Mhm.
And new is really like 7 years and
Yeah.
under. So I'm still in that of
Yeah.
like, you started doing the thing that we all did and we all
Yeah.
are doing.
Mhm.
And it is not until like probably pretty recently that we've said like, oh, I'm not going to everything. I'm going to
Right.
work through all these different avenues instead. And I think that people sometimes try to jump the gun,
Yes.
but it takes time, it takes effort, it takes years.
Hmm. Yeah. No. This where I train jujitsu, there's somebody I train with. He goes by Show Your Teeth, and he's just starting out too. And I've had these conversations with him, and we've hung out, and I'm trying to give him everything I can too, knowledge wise. I've been like, try this convention, do that, focus on this, focus on that. But like the end of the day, I mean, it really just boils down to like, does this person, how hungry, how hungry are they? How much do they want it? What do they want to do? And if, which he is very, into it and going to these conventions and doing it, that's what it really just comes down to, dude. Like, if you just got to keep going. I mean, there's the first few years, you're going to eat shit. I mean, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
If you can just, you know, push through and learn, like your success rate will just go higher. Like, you know, there's no answer to this, right? Like sometimes you just win and sometimes you don't. Like I hit the lottery, so to speak, on having a fan base. I'm not any more special than anybody else. I have no clue why people collect my work more than anybody else. I just do the best I can. I show up. I try to treat all my, my fans and customers like I would treat a family member, and then try to deliver on quality. So if I want to make sure that everybody that I interact with, they feel like they left my presence, like, oh, it was worth the time, money, and effort to come see this person and support them. And I think that that goes a long way as well. Like you don't want, you can't just be dialing it in or not even going to these conventions or shaking some hands and talking to people because all of this matters at the end of the day.
Hey, you just tapped into something that's one of my biggest pet peeves with the like
Yeah.
shaking hands and talking to people. I if I go to another convention and someone is just sitting behind the table not talking to people walking by, what are you
Mm.
doing? Get up, talk to
Yeah, I mean,
people.
I don't know, man. Like, it's a learned skill for sure. Some people are more
Yeah.
comfortable with it. Some aren't. I think if you in this day and age, you have to learn to be comfortable with it. And if you're not, you're gonna have a
Yeah.
long road ahead of you. It's not that hard. People just want to have some acknowledgement. Like it's really just that much. Like you said, like you
Yeah.
walk by, just say, "Hey, man, how you doing?" You don't have to have this whole deep conversation about life. You could just show them the basic perspective, like, "Hey, how you doing? I see you." That's really it. That's the most simplest thing you can do.
We are approaching and looking at your toys. You've caught the bug because you produced a second toy.
Mm.
And thank God that Japan at this time could potentially be a little slower, so it like slows people down intentionally.
I see that.
How
Yeah.
quick after do you submit for the third toy?
That's definitely an interesting story. The I told you I did a show with the Super Seven in Florida. And that was pretty much like
Yeah.
I had used the Sludge Demon as because it was the only toy I really had at the time. I was making that, and then I also peppered in like I had some M1 Go toys that I customized. But anyway, somebody I have the to this day, but somebody took one of the one-ups that I bought. They burnt it to a crisp and sent it back to me in the mail as like, go fuck yourself. And it was just I didn't know what it was. I still have this. I mean, like in this business, I've met every type of fan, right? You have good people, you have
Yeah.
shitty people, you have people that are very supportive, and people just want to, they will do anything in their power to try to set you back. And this just is what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
That's just humanity. I don't know why people do what they do. Anyways, this person, I still don't know to this day who it was. Like, like I looked at the name. I don't know. I still don't remember it. But anyways, they sent me this legend that I painted up. Came back, was just burnt to a crisp. It was just, it looked like a charcoal brick. I have it in my collection, but I didn't know what it was. And I got it in my hand, and I was looking at this thing. And at the time, I had this. I was finally starting to get the confidence of doing a toy that had, you know, movable legs now and a torso. And I was
Hmm.
kind of lost what to do with it. And then once I got this piece in, I was like, man, it kind of just sparked the idea of what would be like if this toy that I got, the Sludge Demon, this charred up thing, came back to life in its next form. It kind of just evolved.
Mm.
And that became what is the Sludge Demon DX, which is now like my most popular toy. It's not
Yeah.
a standard size toy, but it's right below standard size. And for the most part, I think it did well because of, it being easily collectible, right? It's not this massive piece. It has more significance than a small toy, but it's not too big. So you can have a whole lot of them. The texture I got from this chart up thing, I made it kind of resemble some of this texture, and I gave it the Death DX, the skull. Like, it was like these transitional like characters that went from this charred remain turning into a form now. So that's how this second toy became to be. And again, following like the same, design path as say Real Head or Secret Base, where they had a body and then I can just make multiple heads to go with this. And that kind of was like the perfect, like I learned from the little one. I shot too big with the second one, was big, and I had help. This was the first actual toy that I did fully on my own, movable legs, movable arms, head, and then I had this basically what was a hate mail turned into like the inspiration. Like, I didn't know where to go with this, and then boom, now I have this thing here where it's like it kind of gave me like, oh, this is like the rebirth from that. This is like taking something that was supposed to be like this hate mail piece that tell me to go fuck myself, and turning it into like the the answer to where, how to progress my line. So it was taking something bad, turning it into something positive, and then making that toy that I can work with. So it kind of hit all the notes, and that's how I got to making the third toy.
I mean, it is absolutely bizarre to take a quick detour that someone would do that. Doesn't make any sense. Also,
No,
jokes on them. When you burn vinyl like that, it is one of the most toxic things in the world.
yeah, it's not good. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, not good.
The
I mean,
idiots.
I don't know, man. Like,
So I mean,
I find it interesting, man. I don't know. Like, in hindsight, again, I've met so many different people on this. I just find it interesting. Like, you start to recognize a pattern in people. Like, who's gonna be a problem, who's gonna be cool, who's like they're not really gonna be a problem, but they're not gonna be around forever either. Like, you start to like there are people you'll start to recognize these patterns in people.
yeah. Yeah, there is a type of
Mm,
person,
mhm,
especially where we. I said that because, like, as I was saying it out loud, I was getting flashes of people. Um, there is a type of person, especially now that we work with artists to help make their toys come to life,
mm,
that you get ideas thrown at you,
mm.
and you have to like I'm nice and cordial to everyone, but there is a type of person that I just will not partake in. And now people
Yeah,
listening to this are gonna be like, "Am I that person?" You're
you
not.
might be
You're
that
not. I
person.
promise.
No,
Yeah.
no, you might be. No, I'm sorry. No, like if you're that person, that would give you the like, all right, I need to reevaluate myself and not be that person. So if you're
Yeah,
thinking this is
it is.
you, then you need to get your shit together
Yeah.
and stop being that person.
It's challenging, but I mean, it is cool that that spurred on the third toy because at this
Yeah.
point, you in this shift, which is cool, and you like you're articulating it that like you did first toy, second toy, so you had two
Yeah.
individuals, and now it's like okay, we're closer to standard size, and this
Mhm.
is where we start doing the smart stuff of like same body,
Yes.
different heads, smart. Like this
Yes.
is where we start
Yes.
applying everything that we've learned.
Yes. 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 Again, it takes time. I like as I mean, I would say from the first the mini Sludge Demon Ollie and then the DX, it kind of was it happened pretty fast. I mean, again, I was submitting something new every say 6 months. We're looking at like a 2 year
Yeah,
window where all these are getting made. But again, like with like everything I could mention about Japan, like you kind of just while the going's good, you get going, right? So you're just
yeah,
submitting things,
yeah,
and then it kind of like from there it kind of slowed down somewhat. But I was able to have like, all right, I have these few things here, and that's when I was able to do more heads for the DX or create the Berserker for the Ali body, and then that bought me a lot of time. So I would just, all right, we have these two toys I can actually work with here. Let's see how I can just you know reinterpret it by just changing up the head or a piece or that, and that also like helps you be more creative and
yeah. And what's cool about, I mean, it's funny to see how the progression is. Like we, it's over a 2 year period, you're getting three toys made. So it's like every
mm,
6 months we're pumping
yeah, you're
something.
now we're banging
I
it
mean,
out.
working, yeah, now working with like some of these Chinese factories, if I
Mm,
push hard, we're talking like
mm,
5, 6 toys a year if I'm
yeah.
ramping.
Hmm.
And which I'm not doing. That's wild. But like
That's tough.
they're just yeah, they've just like upped their game or have sped up the process so much.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, what I so like what I've found is like Japan is definitely is super traditional, right? Like
Yeah.
they have their ways. They're not
Hmm.
changing them. Either you
Yeah.
accept it or you don't. That's just is what it is. Uh there's there's upsides and there's downsides to that, right? The China comes along, uh, sees that there is a market here, and they were making toys, but like again, it wasn't the best quality, and but now they've definitely upped their quality across the board. Not it
Yeah.
wouldn't just if it was just like one factory, I'd be like, oh, that's just a fluke. No, man, this factory after factory after factory that they've then stepped their game up in every possible way. So it allows more people to come in. And I think competition is good. You know what I mean? Like if you have these factories that are able to make better production, that means everybody's got to be like, oh, I can't just sit here and make shitty things. So we want customers too. So they have to make better things. And there was for a long time too in China, you would get bootlegged a lot because it wasn't even like they would take copies, which I've had done my stuff, but they would
Yeah.
have people that worked at the factory and would just be like, when nobody's looking, just pull some extra and then sell that. Like you had that. That's what caused kind of started with the whole original fake stuff. It was just like there was bootlegs after bootlegs, and then like he was like, I'm just gonna not bootleg the bootlegger, but kind of just take their ideas and put my name on it. So like it's very interesting. But again, as I'm derailing myself, that the the Japanese versus Chinese vinyl, like it's gotten closer for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you bring up that bootleg thing. I haven't had a factory issue with that, but the other
Yeah.
day, a couple days ago, I had a shirt company in the US they're going to print shirts for me,
Hmm.
and homeboy on the phone either let it slip or something, but he said, "Yeah, there's a couple guys here that really love the design. They're each going to get one." And I
Mm.
said, "Excuse me?" And he said, "Yeah, well, we print a couple extra just in case there's any flaws with it, and then we have those shirts." And it was like, not you didn't even ask? Like, what the hell is that, dude? That's so
Yeah.
crazy that you said that to me, especially with such full confidence. You dick.
Yeah, again, this is my point about like the business stuff versus like the art stuff, right? You got to pay attention to this shit because it's like if you're trying to build a brand, it's not necessarily like you're trying to be this micromanager, but like you got to have some consistency and control over what you're putting out there, right? So like if however you're approaching this, you got to have that. You got to make sure you're on top of these things because if you don't know this about this factory, things slip out the back door and it can get squirrely really fast. If you're making t-shirts and you want to become like a t-shirt brand or a clothing designer, you definitely can't have that happen. If you're doing it for a
Yeah.
hobby, that's it's not cool, but like it's not going to kill you. But like if they're doing that to you, they're doing it to the people that are really bringing in like big names and big business, and they're going to be ripping them off too. So who knows? Now that's to your point. Like if they're that confident, that's a huge red flag. Like, all right, I can't fuck with you because I can't trust you now.
Yeah, which has been like such a problematic thing working
Yeah,
with cats. So now it's like I got to send a different email of like, "Hey man,
mhm.
I didn't like that that wasn't great. That's not what I
That made me
like."
feel
So,
no, that's not good.
yeah,
I
it's
get it.
whatever. So over the course of 2 years you get these toys
Mm,
made and then we start ramping up to do the next ones, but
mhm.
luckily you have the bodies so we're doing just
Yeah.
swaps of the tops.
Yep.
Um so for the next like couple years
Mm,
you have that going and then you
mhm,
start bringing out other like your new characters, and I'm interested in this because from an outside perspective they don't
mhm,
all look like they belong in the same world or that you are in the
mhm,
process of world building, but more
mhm.
that you're just building what you like and what you want.
Pretty much. I mean, like I said to you before, like there's some artists out there that are really good at world creating. I mean,
Yeah.
and when you're starting out, you're kind of all over the place of like what you're like. There's some artists out there that come out the gate and they're laser focused on what they want to do. I wasn't that guy. Like I had so many inspirations, whether it be this guy, that guy, this artist, that artist. Like I was like I would be kind of pulled in all these directions. So I would make this twin, and then eventually, like I'm at the point now where it's like I gave up on the whole like if I have some kind of world building thing and is cool, that's great. But I kind of looked at it as like the Tarantino approach, where like everything kind of is in its own world, but kind of connect to the other worlds too. You know what I mean? So it doesn't necessarily have to be like this one particular world. I can just have a toy that's in here that can be connected to that by some little minor aspect of something
Yeah.
that connects them together. So yeah, I kind of just I started paying more attention to like, do I think this thing looks cool? That was my biggest thing. And do I like looking at it? Do I want it on my shelf? Does this thing look scary? Does this thing look like a Gamas? Like how do I whatever I'm approaching, that's it. It wasn't like, all right, man, this thing has to work, you know, in the world of this other toy. And so I have to make sure all these things fit. I didn't like having those parameters, like I'm just gonna make this thing because I like the way it looks. That was my
Yeah.
my biggest focus.
Let's say we're up to like 2016 now and
Mhm.
we're like full force still producing toys and stuff.
Yeah.
Popularity has grown.
Mhm.
We have like social media has started coming in.
Yeah.
You're
Mhm.
on the different social medias. It's making things easier.
Yeah.
What does that do to kind of change who you are as an artist? Because now you're able to reach fans quicker. They're here specifically for you because they're following you.
Mm.
They like you have an audience that like people forget that Instagram, you have an audience in your pocket. Use it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, totally.
And
Mhm.
yeah, so tell me about that, like that kind of evolution, like 2016-ish.
I don't know. I mean, I think still, let's just take, early social media days, like people still don't know what to make of it, right?
Yeah.
Like even let's say like Twitter, when Twitter first came out, people were like kind of using and say, they didn't even know how to use it. Like they would just kind of say their handle ends like eating pizza or eating a cheeseburger
Mm.
or like whatever it is. They would just feel like, so like you
Yeah.
did like, how do you like, or like on Instagram, you would again taking photos of your food or what, like nobody really had a clue what to do with the stuff. It was just like, you're out here using this and like, and then eventually that kind of, rose to like the content creator where they would be more focused on selling products. And then that's when I would say social media kind of went in the direction of using it as this kind of, I don't want to say influencer, but like influencer is a good term because like they were influencing people to focus on this product, right? And they would focus on their one Instagram channel, one business, all kinds of random things. I think like we would have an Instagram where people would be taking photos of their day to day life, their food, their family, their pets, you name it. And then it kind of went to like, I'm making this Instagram for just this one thing and then focusing on that.
Yeah.
So over the years, it would kind of like, if you go back even to my earlier stuff, it was like, like it was just random things. And then eventually you would just start, you find the flow of like, oh, this makes sense of where I'm going to go with this. But, even back to the earlier stuff, I wasn't the most popular Instagram feed. It was just like there wasn't a whole lot. There was, you had people were starting to come online, but I was still relying
Mhm.
on shows like say like Toy Art Gallery opened up their spot on Melrose, and I was still focused on doing shows, and that was probably more helpful than social media at the time. Um, Social media only really kind of started kicking in again when the world kinda started waking up to it, right? Like, for the longest time, I didn't there wasn't this massive fan base in, say, China or you name it, Singapore, Taiwan, go down
Mhm.
the list, right? There wasn't this massive thing, so, like, you had history in Japan, you had history in the States, and it wasn't this massive thing yet. It was when I would say, like, China really started getting into collecting is when that opened up a whole other market of collectors, and then it just kept like a domino effect, country by country by country, London, and then it would just a little bit of everywhere, and that's when like things started taking off, and then you would have like the rise of like the Sofubi celebrity, like let's say with Nag 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 or Haroda, or like you would have these Japanese guys that were like big names, and that again they would start getting into more collaborations. But say, would say Nag, for instance, like he had collaborations with Mishka and Pushead, and then Pushead started hooking up with Haroda. Like you have like bigger name artists, and even to this day, you'll have these bigger name artists are kind of are attached to Sofubi, and that downstream effect for me helped out a lot. But people would say, "Oh, I can't afford these top tier items. Or I can't even get them." They would start paying attention to like, down the line of like, well, I can get this person's and I like their art, and they would start, they would start supporting, and then other people would see it again. So that's kind of how that all kind of started to happen.
And it's bonkers that you had that mindset because now it's like we have you up here and they're like, I can't get his piece, but I can like now get.
Again,
I
that
mean,
goes, but that goes to my point about like, staying in this. Like, you just got to
yeah.
keep going to shows, keep submitting things, keep going forward, no matter what. And maybe you'll get to a point just by being around long enough that people are like, I like this guy's stuff, or I like him personally, and whatever it may be. It's just the sticking around part.
Yeah, I think, and that's you're absolutely right. At some point, you kind of switch sales tactics too.
Mm.
It's less of direct to customer and this like, I have so many and we can like sell them, and then it turned into like lottery systems. And I know that you've recently had some issues with like resellers and that kind of stuff and flippers, but like let's talk about the switch or and when you kind of had to adapt and start moving towards the lottery system.
Uh, yeah, I mean, well, you have to like, I mean, like for quality control reasons. Like I wanted
Right.
to like I don't want to say here like yeah, technically I can, it would have people say, "Oh, how come you don't just make, 100, 200, whatever the hell it is of these things?" Well, yeah, if I have a factory of workers doing it, sure, that's a bit of more of a possibility, but like if you get to understand like how Japanese toys are made, it's not that easy. Like even if I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to, like, I'm just now at that point where, like, I have enough, I don't wanna say pull, but, like, I get a little bit of priority because, like, I've been ordering for fucking 20 upwards of 15 to 20 years of stuff here, so they're like, "Yeah, he's consistent." They'll, like,
Hmm.
we'll pull his
Yeah.
vinyl, like, it's not like a he's his like, these, you know, vinyl factories, they don't give a shit about, like, the names, like, and half the bigger names, they're pulling their old vinyl anyways, like, say, Haroda, he pulled his own vinyl, so he's not relying on a factory.
Let's pause just a dang minute. If you're wondering where is Toys on Tap going to be this year, we are going to Collected Con. We will be in Pasadena Designer Con. We will be at Las Vegas Designer Con. We had 4 shows this year that we're really excited to be a part of. Indie Toy LA happened in February, and it was an amazing show. So we're so pumped. So if you want to come say hi, come see what we're doing, come pick up work, do all the cool stuff, come see us at one of the shows. We have a booth. We would love to see you.
So yeah, I mean, like I wanted to keep quality control, right? So I didn't want to make these large runs. So like I know I can at max it was like 50 pieces. I know I can handle perfectly. Like it's just, if you start doing
Uh-huh.
more than that, it's like, man, it takes me a solid a month of literally working every single day to get this run done from, again, I'm getting the vinyl in. I'm cutting all the flashing off. I'm putting it all together. I'm painting piece by piece. I'm doing the designer work for the header. I'm the one that's bagging all this stuff up. I'm doing the lottery. I'm the one that's putting it in boxes, creating labels. I'm the one that's bringing it to the post office to ship it out. Like I'm doing every possible aspect online. And then at everything, I want to make sure that the quality is top, right? Like this way, like when you spend your money, when you get that box in hand, you can go, ah, this was worth the time and the money. So that's where like, the lottery came in to where it's like, all right, I know I can handle X amount. I'm gonna put this out there. And then if I got more than that, well then, I have to do a lottery to make it fair to people, right? And
Yeah.
but so that's how that kind of came to be with that aspect of it for the lottery parts.
I
Yeah.
will say that it is refreshing to hear that you still care about fairness. I've had conversations where, like, we're dealing with it with a toy that we've produced where the
Mm.
artist was like, hey, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I'd like to retire the piece, which, okay, like, I'm all for it. Like, it's your
Yeah.
piece. Let's do it. And so now I'm like asking for the molds to be sent here and all kinds of stuff. And it's
Yeah.
this people then come back. You have fans that come back to like, why are you producing more? I want
Mm.
6 or 7 different and
Mm.
it's like,
Yeah.
hey, I think for you, it's about collecting, but
Mm.
for the artist, it's about creating. And there's something so spiritual about that.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you got to look at it too. Like if you're a fan, like you put your time and effort into supporting this artist, and you put in like I'm
Yeah.
collecting this object, and then you go, oh, now it's over. Like I put all my time and effort into this thing. You don't want it to be over. Then some people are cool with it, and some people are like they can't handle that. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
it could be anything. It could be toys. It could be sneakers. It could be fucking you name it. It's just the one thing that they've put their energy on, and I understand that. So as a fan myself, I get frustrated too. Like there's plenty of things where like I wanted this, and now I can't get it. And like what the hell? Like but being on both sides of the fence, I'm able to go, all right, well, I get it. So like I'm able to at least explain to people when they come asking me these kind of questions, why'd you do this or why'd you do that? Like I have a well thought out answer behind it because I've thought about it, why I chose to do this with this particular thing. So like I
Yeah.
think as long as you're open with your fan base and the artists, people will they'll if they're normal people, not fucking psychopaths, they'll be like, all right, I get it. And then they'll eventually like you
Yeah.
can smooth it out.
Yeah. What's funny is it's like, it's always the people that have multiple versions of the thing. Like there's a guy that I know that has every variant that has been produced of this
That's
toy.
dangerous. Yeah, the
Yeah,
completists.
and like has that. And then when we were like, yeah, after this run, we're gonna retire, he was like, "What the hell, man?"
Yeah.
And it's like,
They just
No, no, I get it. I get that you want more. I get it. But
yeah.
there's so much other stuff that can be produced. Let's just move on."
It's a thing again, it's not that's a problem that they have to come to terms with. You can't again,
Yeah,
if you were to focus your energy on trying to smooth it over for them, you're gonna be doing that forever. So this is a they problem. It's not a you problem. Like they have to like
yeah,
as a person, this is something you have to figure out on your own. You can't they're gonna try to put it on you, they're gonna try to put it on the artist and blame everybody, but it's a them problem where they have to work it out for themselves and like how to handle it as an adult. You could be an adult and you can figure this out.
yeah. I mean, and then for you being in it for this long, you've had the ability to experiment and do all these things and kind of like go through and kind of fail along the way, learn, start over, do those things. I think that's something that's, especially with someone that's been in this scene for so long, Tell me about
Mm,
some failures along the way as we kind of build out this NVH brand
mm.
that you're doing. Things that come to mind that are like, man, I should have done this differently, so I
Oh, yeah.
changed it from now on.
Dude, like, I have so many of those. You know,
Yeah.
like, I mean, I think, it's I think the biggest one, I mean, like, I can go through all the little minor things, but I think the biggest one would be my work with Medicom. I
Mm-hmm.
think, I was able to work with Medicom. I kinda, I wasn't ready for it, right? And, and in hindsight, I would have did things so much more I would have did things so much differently. But at the time, I was kinda, like, trying to grow in so many different directions. I wasn't really, this isn't going too far back either. This is before the pandemic. We're gonna say maybe 18 or 19,
Mm.
where like I was just, like I kind of approached them and they were like, "Oh yeah, we will work." I was like one of those like, you're gonna reach out and like there's no way this person's gonna reply to you. And then when they do, you're like, "Oh shit, what do I do with this?"
Yeah.
kind of thing. I got that. So I got them. When they said okay, I'm like, all right, well, what can I do? And that's when I came up with with the what I called Lash, the character that was based on the Honda Mask logo that I made.
Mm-hmm.
And I went in a completely different direction. Like I was like I'm like the guy that makes these Sofubi monsters, and then I made this mascot looking toy. And it was like what like I really what I was trying to accomplish was like trying to make something that didn't compete with my own toys, right? I wanted to make something that
Yeah.
was completely different, that was a toy that I can have Medicom or some sell, and I wouldn't take away from my ability to like. You don't want to sell two toys that are so similar that like your fan base has to make a choice. Like, want to buy this one or that one? Especially in like in the early days when like you don't have a whole lot to offer. You don't want to take away your only income, right? So as a guy, I came up with this idea, and I'm like, I've been wanting to do something like that for a while. And then the sculptor was a very, he's a very well known sculptor in the field, done some big name stuff, and I was like, "Man, I know who he did work for." I'm like, "I would like to work with him and have him make my toy of his version." So I kinda like, my biggest failure was not sticking to what my brand looked like and kinda going
Mm.
in a completely different opposite direction, and that really tossed people off. Uh, to me, like, yeah, things sold, but it didn't really sell like this like any other work that I did. And it was definitely like, I had people that they thought like, "Oh, he's working with Medicom, and it's in his head, he's this big guy." I'm like, it was behind the scenes, I'm like I was just complete bummed out. Like this thing was a massive, to me, a failure because like I had multiple colorways picked out and they just did the one and done, and that was it. They were like not interested to move on. They weren't rude. They were just like, "Thank you for your time. It was nice knowing you." So like,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
So like, like I had the biggest, brand, maker. We had Medicom. They did cause, they did this. And I'm like, this is gonna be huge for me. And then it completely went completely away. And I was like, I had to really like step back and like, what do I do from here? And like again, these are things that like, I don't post publicly. I'm like, I'm keeping this all to myself and keeping it all ball in. Like, I have people at a time going, "Oh, he thinks he's big time because he's working with Medicom." And I'm like, man, if only you knew, but I fucking completely fucked that all up.
Yeah.
You knew that, like me personally, like I was, yeah, that was something I was struggling with, like what, and man, I had this massive brand, and then I fucked it up by like not doing what I should have did was kind of transition from the monsters that I was making something for them, and then slowly evolving into something like that, which I did with Unbox when the Neo Lash toy, and I got to explore that with them. But what I should have did off the bat, I should have transitioned. And so, like, I have all these little mistakes I made along the line, like who I worked with, the collaborations I should have did, things I retired, which I shouldn't have retired, yada yada yada. But the biggest one was, I would say, the working with Metacom and fucking that up, you know. So, like, yeah,
Yeah. I
everybody has these
mean,
things.
that's wild, especially with Medicom and what's funny too is how one moment can take all the wind out of your sails, right? So like
Yeah.
your first thing is like I got to pull back and think about what I need to do, but you're still a successful artist. Like you need to make a new toy. That's what you need to do. Like continue with the good work you were doing,
Well, this is the
and
thing. Yeah, like I
it's
don't
like, but
you don't have to show people like every part of how the sausage is made, right? Like you gotta
Yeah,
being
yeah.
professional, you got to try to like try to keep your composure, try to stay out there, try to, like, all right, like as I'm kind of trying to come to terms with how to overcome what I felt was a failure, uh, you know, move on to the next toy that I can redeem myself, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, which that next toy, I think we're gonna finish this episode off. That next toy, which kind of redeemed you, and then I see your work everywhere now. So
Mm.
take me on to the next thing that you feel kind of redeemed you.
I would say working with Headlock would be the thing that kind of redeemed me. I mean,
Hmm.
like they're they are like a like Ken, he's done it all, right? He's been around for a long time, but like you still see like I did the collaboration with him and we made the Flying Freak like with Knuckle, and it was again it's kind of Western. It has like that, but it redeemed me in a way because like I was a big fan. Again, I told you like being with hot rods and like muscle cars. I have a Challenger. That's what. So like I've been around these things, and I was a big fan of Knuckle, and then I saw that Ken was working with him, and I kind of just I was a fan of Headlock. I remember buying their stuff at Decon. There was like no lines. It was just like you can walk up to the Headlock booth and buy a toy. So I was able to go speak to Ken personally, be like, hey, like I see your work, working with Knuckle. Like I'm a big fan. I pulled out like I have this, a fan of mine. Again, oddly enough, he had Knuckle airbrush a sweatshirt in my characters, and then I ended up eventually buying that sweatshirt from that fan for my personal collection. So I was able to say, "Hey, look, like I'm a fan of Knuckle. He's actually painted my toys like on a shirt. Like I fans." So I was able to talk to Ken, and Ken was like, "Well, doing a collab." So like I suggested like, "Hey, we do the Flying Freak when the head I have in my when the DX is that seems to be doing pretty well with the fans." And Knuckle was interested in it, and then that's why he made that head for the headlock body. And I think with the way Ken approaches things, because it is Chinese production, he was able to make, he's making runs of they say between 100 to 250 pieces of this toy. So I'm getting his audience to kind of see this work. And I'm getting associated again now with Knuckle, which is to me, he's a I mean, I got to meet him for the first time just in Japan last month, which is crazy. But like I'm a
Yeah,
big fan of this guy, and so like I'm getting to work now with the people that I've been looking up to as artists for a long time. So like to me, that was the redemption arc. Like I kept going forward, I kept looking. I'm like, so that's how I end up working with Headlock. And I think Headlock to me, like I've said this to Ken before many times, like I owe a lot to you for you exposing me to a whole new audience of collectors. So these people just kind of come into your life if you're if you're lucky. And I'm very blessed that like I've had so many opportunities to kind of work with the people that I've always dreamt of working with. Again, I don't know how this happens, and I've said this before, like I just feel like I hit the lottery. But it's it could be a million factors. But like yeah, I think that would be the to me the arc of going from having a growing kind of toy line of my own, doing something that failed to me pretty miserably, which kind of like, that's something as an artist you have to like, how do I get past this? And then keeping it all, from the world seeing me falling apart, keeping it to myself, and then finding that, the other falling into this other collaboration, which I felt kind of got me back into the game again. And, so that's how that happened. And that's why I feel like getting, having that association with Hemlock really took my brand back and brought it to a whole other level.
yeah, which is amazing. Um, I kind of want to talk through because you are a full-time artist. So
Yeah.
talk through the reality of like what COVID did for you as well, because it kind of,
Mhm.
especially with shipping and all that stuff. If you
Yeah.
had a toy that was on the way around March, it was over.
Yeah, it was scary. I mean, like this I mean, I will
Yeah.
definitely say that like at the very least, I keep at least 6 months worth of stock on hand. Because like that was an eye-opening thing where like you can go a lot of us, we don't have this massive, bank account where we can just order tons of vinyl. right? So you kind of just go, I'll order a month, maybe 2 months extra if you're lucky. And then after COVID came through, I was like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen here. And like, this is the only way I make money. Like my wife depends on me, my family depends on me. So like, I, I started, saving every fucking nickel and dime I could to buy. Every time I would buy stuff, I would just add on more stock. Excuse me, whatever I can afford. So now I have like 6 months worth of vinyl, sometimes even more, which I can like, I always try to keep on hand. And then I would just, whenever I had the opportunity to order more from this factory, that factory, I would just take it because that was just definitely a scary time. I mean, luckily for me, I mean, I had I had just enough orders coming kind of in right before, COVID kind of really kicked in. So I was able to get these orders through. And then, the same thing, like, it's not just on the artist side, like these factories depend on us too, right? Like, so like they need to have sales. So they have to like also try to figure out how do I get the stuff to my customers here. So like thankfully, Mariyama factory, what he found, Yamato shipping, which was like, they were still able to ship through them. They hand off to UPS and UPS still kept running. So like you had to go through these like, all right, I'm gonna have to try to figure out, this puzzle. Like, and like as a small business owner, man, like this is part of the process for all of us, right? Like you learn along the ways, you get all, if you can't just jump and skip parts of this, you need to have all these pieces of your game. So, when you come across a problem, how to solve it. This happens with,
Mhm.
with, whether it's your sculpture work, whether it's the business aspect, taxes, shipping, you name it, you have to go through it to have these answers. You can't just pass it along to somebody else because if you don't have this knowledge, you're gonna have a hole in your game, and will eventually come back to haunt you. So, like, I mean, like, I know it's tough for people, especially starting out, but yeah, you have to go through this. You have to, be part of it, and it will help you in the long run. So all these other little things I've gone through, at least it kind of helped me know, like, all right, through when COVID kicked in, I was able to like, all right, I have some stock, I have some stock coming, was see what I can get to add into that. And eventually, like, I talked to like this artist who talked to that artist, and he said, all right, do this. So you would just kind of start like networking and figure it out. So like it really didn't hurt me too bad per se. I mean, like I had,
Mhm.
like after like a month into it, I speaking to all these other artists, we would like, all right, I have this amount of stock, you have this amount of stock. Could we collaborate? How can we like we can you kind of start like trying to figure out how everybody can help each other out along the way. So
Yeah,
so COVID was a problem, but it wasn't a massive problem for me.
dude. Yeah, I mean, it was a. I didn't know because I wasn't making toys at this time, but I
Mm,
remember going to like Palos Verdes in California,
mm,
and you look over the ocean, and all of
mm,
these it's one of the biggest ports in Long Beach in the United
mm.
States, and so it's like all these shipping containers everywhere,
Yeah.
and all these like cargo ships just waiting, and it was like now looking at that, how many of these toy makers were on those ships,
Oh man, that's crazy.
um, but yeah, we are, I mean, we're approaching the next episode, which is going to be kind of more philosophical about the scene in general and all of
Sure.
that and like where you fit and how that's going. And so I think this is a really good spot to stop. I know how
Mm.
you feel about promoting yourself and plugging it. So maybe just say goodbye to everyone. That might be helpful.
That works for me. Yeah. I mean, like I'm not how do I put this? I'm not the greatest at interviews. I don't think I am at least. All right. So like
Nah, you're
I'm
great.
talking yeah, I'm talking to you and I'm having a great time. This is fun. So like, but like when I see like the view counts go up, I'm like, oh, people are actually watching this, So so whoever, watched the last video or is watching this video, I mean, thank you for taking the time to, listen to my story. I think it's I find it interesting history and whatever like I'm involved in. So if whatever I'm saying can help anybody along with their journey. I mean, hopefully, like, I'm saying the things are answering some questions for people that they either had or didn't think about, that this can help them think about going, with their careers. So, I mean, I do want to thank the fans for taking the time to watch this video or the last video, hopefully the next video, that and if you guys have comments, leave the comments. This way we can read them, and I can, address them in the next episode, or, whatever comes from this in the future. It's just, it I mean, like, this is just the service that, like, I enjoy giving back to the fans. Man, like, like, it's hard to be able to go to conventions and, sell stuff, and then also be able to sign things and talk to you, and it's just, it's tough. So, I mean, the questions that you're asking me are I've been asked before, right? Like, here and there. So at least this is I'm really enjoying this, way of documenting my history. Like, I've never had the opportunity to do this. So thank you for, interviewing me and having this happen. This way, like, even in the future, something happens to me, my kids have something to look back and be like, this is how, from my dad's own mouth, like, how this came to be. Or, so it's, thank you, thank the fans, and I thank everybody for this opportunity.
Thank you for coming on for episode 2.
Thank you.